An email with.
Okay, we're all set, ready to start. I'm not gonna do that, you're gonna do that, you're gonna introduce your thing. Okay, so Candy has a really thing that's gonna be started in the meetings. So today's day one, but this is gonna be an ongoing thing, every meeting, every single meeting, this is gonna happen. So
Yep.
you can tell them a little background and what the money's gonna go towards and what the fun stuff is.
Yeah, so we were at the Otsego office and they do this thing so that stuff that the office wants, like fun stuff, like they got a popcorn machine one time. But they basically, everyone bring $1 or $5, whatever you want to bring, but it goes into the pot. And then you get a ticket, and at the end of their team meeting, they draw for one of the tickets. And if you're the winner, then you get half the pot.
It's like, I want my ticket right now.
I know. And then half the pot goes to the office. And I think.
But not to the office, it's for agent fund. So we're gonna tally up, like if we make half the pot's $50 today, we're gonna be like, now we're at 150. So you're gonna know what the tally is. And then we're gonna do some fun with it, whether or not it's an outing, if we buy something here, a coffee machine, like an espresso machine. We'll give some options for something fun to do as a group. And you get to win some money.
Happy hour.
Yeah, I mean, I would,
Like
for the ticket, maybe, do a full tab.
All that.
Yeah. Those are the best.
I almost did them yesterday. I was like, nope.
It's a problem.
Put it in your mouth.
Like, oh, that's a really good idea. We'll go to the girl. Yeah, and then it's like, oh, but we didn't win that one. I'm further five. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Right. You're like, can I Venmo you?
Take Venmo.
Do you guys have a Venmo? Maybe that's what we should start doing. No, that.
Probably could open in 5.
So normally on any other meeting, start buying these as you walk in. It's gonna be a weekly gambling session. This isn't recorded. is it?
People have money fingers in the back. That was the betting window.
Redfin.
Apparently we did.
It just started thick, but you want.
Right.
Oh, you just got back from Vegas. Don't start with me, Derek. All right, so now I mean, that's something good in itself, but let's do some bucket fills and something good to start the meeting off.
I'll start.
Chris,
Okay, so,
first of all, I just want to say Chris starts a lot. So I'm just gonna add some other people. Maddie starts a lot too, to step up and like really take some initiative. So it's not always Chris, because I appreciate them. Well, he already started it.
So for people who don't know, I'm doing my first triathlon in June, and I am not a very good swimmer, and it's in the lake, and so I was getting really anxious. But now I'm feeling more confident swimming. So yeah, that's my personal thing.
And this is the work. This is the work and effort of like, getting there.
Number like, swimming like twice a week. Awesome.
I mean, we shared some great stories about swimmers and
Yeah, we did.
not great swimming attire, so we've been there.
I have never done it. But
Yeah.
I've heard that's like the trick. If you're not confident.
Oh, maybe I'll do an open water swim with you sometime.
On the ice will be out in like 2 days, so.
I like how she didn't say no when you just said the ice is out. I would have been like, whoa, I'm gonna take that back. She's like, oh, you're doing the Minnetonka one? Cool, let's do it. All right.
So when I first started golfing, I used to tell everybody that I was a really crappy golfer. And then I went through Bold one time after hearing Shannon talk about it. I started this affirmation where I just tell people I'm a great golfer. And I think it changes my mindset. And I'm still a work in progress.
You're
However,
a great
when
coach.
I was
I've
running
seen
marathons, I started with the affirmation, I'm a strong, confident runner and I always finish the race. And as I'm running the race, I'm telling myself that. And I'm also thinking through the point FAR, which
Yeah.
is an acronym that is a bold thing, which is programming leads to thoughts. No, leads to action, leads to feelings.
I can't remember.
No, it's something
Do
like
you remember
that.
it, Kevin?
Kinda,
You lost me at feeling.
Program. Point
Thought,
Thought.
yes, your feelings.
feelings
your
lead to
feelings,
action.
Which
Action.
action, which has results.
Result.
Leads
Which
to
either
Programming.
confirm your programming or change your programming.
Correct.
That's it.
Can you do the
Correct.
dance for the Y24?
Deal. Integrity first.
Anyway, the point of that was develop an affirmation that you can think about to distract yourself when you're actually doing it.
Okay, that's actually good, because when I can't breathe in the pool, I freak out.
Because I can actually talk.
If it can help take you from a place where you're thinking, this sucks, I hate this, to, you know what, I'm just doing this and I'm gonna get through it,
I love
then
it.
you can get through it.
All right, what else is good? Rachel.
Deanna again, we started together, but she just had a baby.
I know. Wait, but 6 weeks until your good thing.
Yeah.
First.
I had my first closing last week and I was
Yay. Other one is happening. Awesome, what else?
I was out of town last week on spring break and Ken did all of everything I do while I was gone. And
He's like, it was great. What else, Rick?
And there's a newer agent here, Chelsea Hall, that helped me at an open house last Saturday. And it was incredibly helpful. It's a giant house. And we had people show up when it ended at 1 o'clock. So she stayed and helped me close everything down 45 minutes later after they left. So
I want to say that she's not here. I don't even think she's on, but I spoke with her this morning and about something else, and I'll bucket fill you for her. She came from a different brokerage, and the mentality is different in a lot of different places. And I think we have an opportunity to kind of share this piece. But you had mentioned about putting boundaries around family time, and she said this morning that a buyer had called her and had an issue happening, and she said, you know what? I'm on vacation right now. This is something I'm not going to be able to solve in 24 hours. I'll do what I can, but otherwise I'll reach out and I'll get it fixed when I come back. And she said she would have never been able to do that if it wasn't the conversation she had at that open with you, because she's had anxiety the whole time she's had her license about how she has to respond immediately. And this particular agent has done 7 million and is only in her second year of real estate. So, I mean, she's a producer, and it helped her a lot. And she told me about it at 7:15 this morning, because I obviously have boundaries when I talk to agents. On that note, full circle.
it was a big help because it's
Yeah.
a 10,000 square feet. You shouldn't do yourself.
Yeah.
So you get to know a little bit more.
Awesome. What else is good?
I'll bucket fill you. I was thinking about it yesterday and I thought, you know what, when you're in the office and stop by everybody's office and we feel your energy, it's a nice boost in the day.
Was it because you missed me the last 2 days?
Yes.
Oh, that just
sure.
made my day. Jared. I said to Lydia, I was teaching at Edina, and then I had yesterday, I was like, I feel like I haven't been here forever, but.
And I'm just gonna kind of introduce Amy, and is new to our office starting this week.
anybody else.
All right. Let's get moving to celebrating. So, just kidding, just kidding. So tutor of the day, I have heard really great things about this. Because now there's some rhyme and reason if you have a question on who to call. I do want to reiterate that, the phone calls with tutor of the day should be no longer than like a 2 to 5 minute phone call. If it is something that's larger than that, please, 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 reach out to me or Jim, our broker, so that we can answer longer questions. The tutor of the day is for very, specific questions, right? So something that's happening in a negotiation. I happen to do this in this particular purchase agreement or a listing, or man, I had this random question. I just want to also be very conscious of the agents that are volunteering their time here. Don't, again, always call and they might just refer you. So don't feel like they're pushing you off either. If it's something longer than that, it'll probably be redirected to myself or Jim. Any questions around that? And it is posted every single day on the Facebook page, and then anywhere on the televisions around the office.
At the same time, I would say, don't be afraid to call, like.
No, absolutely.
It fills our bucket when we get to answer questions and go, hey, I know this, and I can share. That's a great thing. Each one of us volunteered to do that for a reason, so.
I would agree. Just want to make sure that there's some boundaries around that. And thank you to the tutors of the day for doing that, because it's incredibly helpful to a lot of agents. All right, so I love this calendar so much. Even though we've told multiple people you can click and register from the links, we still get some emails. So I'm just going to remind you, you can click on these and they can register for any of those classes via clicking on it. It goes right to the link, so it's super easy. The one thing that two things that I want to point out for next week is we have our R&R happy hour. It is at Baja House in Wayzata. Is that correct?
Yes, which that place is super spring oriented. It's like being on spring break. It is fantastic. So a lot of fun.
Awesome. And that starts at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. Perfect. And then Leadership Academy with Jake. That is going to get opened up to people that are not in Keller Williams, I believe, starting tomorrow. And it's going to be in here, so there's going to be a capacity to that. So we have 850 agents in our offices, and I believe we can only have 70 people here. So if you want to go to that, which is going to be a great class, please, please, please register now or later today. I don't mind if you get on your phone and you register for that one, because otherwise you won't be able to get a spot because we can't go over. And I don't believe that's online. It's in person only in our market center, which means that you can come here and you don't have to go anywhere else. And also on the 27th, we are doing niche. Yeah. I don't know if I like that pronunciation, but we're gonna go with it. Your business. So that's going to be an off-site training. So it's going to be at the district in Edina. We have 5 agents on it. 2 of them are not with KW. 3 of them are. And so we're going to be talking about short and midterm rentals. We're going to talk about other investments, geographic farming for luxury, the golden handoff, and then Jose is doing bilingual real estate. So his clientele is mainly Spanish speaking, and how he's created that business. So they're very high producing agents on that panel that are all doing a very specific thing, which in regards to the shifting market will be, I think, valuable for you guys to kind of take a look at on how they're shifting their market, because obviously, they're going to have to increase lead gen and also diversify. Any questions around any of those? Awesome. Oh, we already did that. There is a free CE blitz. So if you haven't been coming to the CEs that are here, is this at Lakes?
At Lakes, yeah.
Yeah, all of these are at the Lakes office. So in Minneapolis, it's on Thursday, May 4th. These are all the CEs that you can sign up for. They also have another class, the required module, the next day. So this is on the 4th for the CE Blitz. And then the next day is the required module as well. You have to be in person at the Lakes office with Julia. And if you went yesterday, she was an incredible teacher. If you're going to do the required module, which you have to, this would be a great opportunity to do that because it would be easy to take. And she has a lot of great information. Candy.
I also just want to say, in the month of May, we will have 2 credit worth of CE here at our office on May 3rd. So that first week in May, you could like really knock out a ton if you did the ones at the lakes plus the 1 credit here. And then May 30th will also be 1 credit here. So lots of opportunities in May.
Candy will not say this, but for the sake of Candy's sanity, if we could get our CE credits done prior to June 14th, that would be fantastic. Because I know it's one where we're making sure that you guys are not losing your license because of CE. I am very at fault at going till the last minute as well. And this year, we're really trying to get CE here so that you don't have to go look for it, or at least provide it. So it's one where you can be taking these classes a little bit easier than we have in the past. So mainly do it for Candy.
And your license.
And your license, but as we've learned, most people do it for other people, so. All right, Red Day, May 11th, we are gonna be closed the whole day, correct? All of the offices are closed the whole day, which is, actually really new for all 5 market centers to completely close that day. And the reason we're doing it is because International closes as well. And the reason for this is to give back to the community. If you guys were at the diversity class yesterday, this is not just about selling houses and buying houses and making, you know, obviously money that funds our lives, but there are people that are in need of housing. There's people that can't afford housing, or different things in regards to making sure that the place that they live is nice and safe. So this year, all 5 market centers are going to be working with Aon again, is correct? I do not recall where our site is yet, but we will send that out. But it's volunteer hours. I think we're actually doing some painting potentially and some deferred maintenance work on properties in kind of Minneapolis proper. So I'd like to see as many people as possible there. It's fun too. I mean, last year we tried putting together some furniture that the bolts didn't even fit, but it was fun. And then after we finished it, we had 10 more chairs to put together. It was small. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a good opportunity to also to learn a little bit about each other in a different way. So any questions around that? Again, mark your calendars kind of for the whole day, and then we'll send out actual registration for the event after this. All right. Oh, sorry. So we're already on congratulations. So, Cam got his first closing and actually has a second closing already next week. So I feel like there's some momentum that's going on. And this was for the month of March, correct? Awesome. Awesome. All right. And then we have some cappers in March. We have Royce, we have Brian, we have Christine. Oh, they're not. Okay. And the Culture Award is going to be presented by Bethany. And other programming.
So we chatted as a team and we want to give the Culture Award to Rick. Rick has been super helpful in just the past, we've been here now a year. We transferred here last April and just appreciate you answering my questions and your witty banter with me.
I'm like, this is what I wanted to do.
Beach.
Now you can't even like say anything smart or fast.
Oh, it's really nice.
Are you speechless right now?
Maybe.
Thank you very much.
It's a big deal here, at the office. I mean, I drive past the Eden Prairie office every day. It's 4 minutes from my house to come here, for the culture. So it's good stuff.
Awesome. Well deserved. Congratulations. All right, we're gonna go through March numbers. There is a lot to celebrate in March. I think that we went through, as we look at these numbers, I think we go through them and it's like, yay, whatever, right? When you really look at the last 6 months, it has been very interesting for people's businesses. I also think the fact that this room is full right now is amazing, and because of the last 6 months, business has changed. And we are now realizing how important, one, being in person, and two, having the conversations that need to be had, right? Because before we were just kind of like running around trying to kind of work on clients. So you guys have done some really amazing things, and in January and February are a little different. March, it's coming back, and I'm really proud of all of you. So when we go through some of these numbers, there's some things that I'd really like to, maybe I should do it now. Should I tell them now? The productivity part?
Yeah.
So I, like you guys, and I am accountable to Jake and Jen, which is super fun to be accountable to them. And we go through numbers, right? And there's some things that I can control, and there's some things that I can't control, obviously directly, but I can control it indirectly on what we bring for trainings, how we train, and what we're doing for you guys as agents. January and February, our productivity was at 23 and I think 25%. Okay, so 1/4 of our office was putting money into their paycheck to fund their life and support their family. That's a really, really hard number for me to swallow. Not for me, but for everybody that I'm helping here, right? And it actually makes me reflect on, am I providing you guys what you need to have a really great business, right? And maybe I am, and maybe I'm not, right? So some of that can fall on me and fall on the office. However, I think that also the conversations of really honing in on what do we need to do with lead gen and the units that are increasing over time to make sure that our business is really recession proof. In March, our agent productivity was at 42%. And it's not even the fact of how amazing that is for again, the office, but now there's 20% more of you that are doing something really amazing, probably with your family or things that you're not feeling stressed about. So job well done. And ask yourself what's changed to make sure that 42% of our agents are writing contracts and closing on them. Because let's keep doing that. And if it was training and there's something else that you need, please tell us, because I would love to see that number well over 50. Again, so that I know that your dreams and your goals are getting met. Fair? So congratulations, guys. It's a super cool number. And by the way, that was not like trending with the market. We were the only market center, I think, that had that big of a jump. So kudos. All right, top individuals with listings taken. We have Julie, we have Nina, and we have Terry. 59, Nina was 25, and Terry was 315. What do we know about these price points on these listings? They're probably gone already. Yeah. Right? Like those, that's like the sweet spot. All right. Top individuals with closed volume. We have Jacob Milton. I think he's 1.1. We have Selena with 6.1. We have Pierre with 5.1. We have Paul at 3.5. Yeah. Closed guy. Jacob Milton. We have Selena Paul. And Paul. All right, top teams, listings taken. We have the North Home team with 5, Steinbach Home Zone, Poland with 10. Listings taken volume, North Home team with 3.1. And then you guys, if I totally messed up these numbers, I wrote like 1, 3, 5 multiple times on the board when I was supposed to put 1, 2, 3. So just bear with me today. Top closed volume for teams. We have the exceptional home team with 4. Closed GCI, the exceptional home team is All right, top groups listings taken. Homer's Group and Strobel both at 8. Homer's Group at 6.5. All right, closed volume. Homer's Group at 9.5. Stop at this for 1 second. All of these are well over $1 million of close in 1 month. That's awesome, you guys. That's super awesome. All right, closed GCI. Sorrento team in the first place. Also, I love seeing this. These are all very competitive human beings. All right, so let's talk about numbers. When we go through this, it's fun to have kind of your thought on the numbers and what it means for the market, what it means for your business, and what it means moving forward. And that's why we do numbers, right? It's a way to tell where we were, where we're going, and also celebrate obviously what we've done. But these have changed over time, and they've changed pretty dramatically, ups and downs with our area, with the MLS in the last 6 months. Would you guys agree? I mean, 1 minute the MLS is up, and then we're down, and we're up, and it's down. It's been kind of a roller coaster a little bit. And a lot of that can be the lead gen portion, right? Where we're at, when we were lead genning, when we're closing business. So this one is us comparing our market center to the MLS to the area. So when we look at closed units, you guys, obviously this negative number, we're down by 20.7. MLS is down by 20.4. Our area is down by 20.3. What do you guys see different on that number than you have before when we've been compared to MLS and the area? On par. Yeah. We're trending. We are trending now. Okay. So this is actually something really to celebrate, because before we weren't trending with MLS and area. We were actually not even pacing with it. Okay. So whatever you guys are doing in your business right now, this is just that stepping point to be outpacing the MLS and in our area, right? So this is just kind of, we're on this upward and we're just at this point. Next month, I'm really excited to see us surpass the MLS in our area, which, what does that mean? It means we're getting market share, right? So if we're closing more deals buy and sell, that means that we're showing up more than anybody else in the MLS, or we're getting more market share. Do you guys care about that? Yeah. Do you guys want to be number 5 office in the area? Like, this is an actual question.
Is that where we are now?
I'm not sure actually, but whatever it is, do you want to be number 5? If the answer is no.
No.
Like, the answer is no. I personally want to be the number 1 office in our area, right? I think we've been outpaced by Coldwell for some time. And I don't like it. I don't like it because I'm competitive, and I don't like it for you guys, right? I want you guys to have market share. Why? Not because I just want that, but I know that you guys are really great agents that should have market share. And whatever we have to do to get that, whether or not it's hone in on our conversations, or, do more lead gen together, I'd be willing and happy to do that. All right, so close volume, right? So we're down 12% or 12.9, MLS is down 14.5, and our area is down 15. Again, now we're actually outpacing the volume, right? We've always had a high volume, but we also weren't pacing even with that volume. Listings taken, we're down by 20%, MLS is down by 11, and our area is down by 4. Okay. So something we can focus on is the listing portion. How do we get more listings in the office, right? What are the people that are getting listings? We just saw 8, we saw 7, we saw 5 listings taken. What are they doing? What are they doing to get those listings? And maybe go ask them. Listings taken volume, we're down by 12%. MLS is down by 3. Our area is up by 2. Listings sold, we are down by 27%. The MLS is down by 20. Our area is down by 20. Listing volume, we're down by 20%. And MLS is down by 14. Our area is down by 15. So I find this interesting. So listings sold volume, we were down by 20%. Right? And then well, I guess it doesn't, like our listings taken volume, we were down by 12. So, I mean, I guess you can't really compare, but at the same time, I'm curious on if we're taking higher price listings or not. All right, here's the piece though, that I always look at where we're going to be next month, right? So contracts written down, MLS is down by 20.9, our area is down by 20.8. We are down by 32%. What does that mean for close most likely next month? We're not going to be pacing anymore, right? So we were pacing prior to, right? Contracts written, we were pacing with the MLS. From what these numbers look like, potentially the next 2 months, depending on when the contracts were written, right? We're probably going to be underpaid, like we're not going to be pacing even with the MLS. So what might be happening in that situation? Real live question. Because we celebrated, right? We just celebrated that we're finally pacing with it. So we were writing contracts, we were taking listings. What's going on with the contracts written last month?
I need to get our people going.
Okay, yep,
Call people and like spur them on to action.
okay, so some people might be just not participating in the market yet. Okay, so get more people participating in the market.
If you look at, if we went back and looked at those numbers, the volume that we took was lower on the stuff that we wrote, like 300,000, 300,000, 89,000, 189,000. So there are some units that were up there, but the volume maybe was down.
Okay,
There's 2 other major variables that slowed things down. One was the extended winter, which is really different from last year. I mean,
Yep.
Getting things signed and getting their houses on the market sooner. And then the other thing is what we talked about last week as well, and I think it still exists a little bit. Hopefully we get over it quickly, but just the animosity with the banks and the interest rates is just creating a little bit of a pause for buyers.
okay.
Wouldn't the MLS in the area also be susceptible to those same conditions?
Correct. So this is where I think, it goes back to the thing of reasons or results, right? So the MLS is down, yes, but there's still people buying and listing, right? So if we use that potentially as a reason, and I'm not saying right or wrong, that should be across the board because that's no different for us than any other brokerage or the MLS, right? There's still people writing. Yes, it's down, but there's still people writing contracts. And they're not, we've got a gap there. The other thing that we haven't talked about is multiple offers again, right? In my coaching appointments in the last month, it's like all of a sudden we put a listing on and there were 13 offers and we lost out on 3, right? Is that a thing that's happening right now? So I think we need to think about who's winning these, how are they winning them? And are we winning every single offer we're putting in? I'm guessing no, right? Because we can't control everything about those. That doesn't necessarily have a reflection on you as an agent, but sometimes buyers don't have 20% down. They can't go higher in a price point. They're not going to withgo inspection, right? So can that be a reality in there? What are we seeing in that? again, live question.
I think you have to beat them before they get on the market. A lot of what we're winning right now is just we're getting through agent networking or the golden letters.
Okay.
The golden letters work. I'm working on an off-market duplex in Mound right now for a client. We're at 28 closed and pending for the year. And right now, I would say about a fourth of those are off-market transactions.
I think that's huge right now, right? I think, previously it was like, we were so busy like, having things pop on the market and then you'd go, right? Or someone would be like, let's go. Do we agree that there is time, at least a little bit more time right now that we have in our day where we can be calling neighborhoods, calling our sphere, asking what they know of people selling, going door knocking? Would you guys agree with that? Golden letters. I mean, if that's 1/4 of your
Yeah, it's probably
business,
a little bit less than that. I should look at the numbers better, but we're definitely a lot of networking, golden letters, all of that.
but this has been a topic, I mean, kind of across the board for a lot of people, right? Because it's like, what are the off-market properties? When we do buyer needs, that's a real thing. Like, what buyers do you have and what do they need? Sending that out can match a property before we're getting into multiples that you aren't gonna win it.
Well, and I think to do that, though, you have to have a really clear message on why it's the seller's benefit to sell to your buyer upfront.
That's a good point. Why is it?
Well, for this.
I mean, and not even, let's open that, this is a dialogue session. Let's open that up. Why would someone want to sell off market and why would it be a benefit to the seller?
I want to hear what Bethany has to say first.
Okay,
For what I'm working on right now, it's because he doesn't want to deal with repairs. And that's great for my first time home buyer and get it at a lower price. He also likes that my clients have a flexible close date. He wants to 1031 exchange.
okay.
So I'd say other ones that have worked though are especially if they're a move up buyer, that's a seller, this is like the worst market for them. Because it's the whole like chicken and the egg, like what do you do first? And if they can sell and they know what their net's gonna be, and they don't have to be contingent to go buy what they want, and if your buyers, that first time home buyer that can be flexible, it's a huge benefit. And I would say that's not just like you putting both sides together, like that's me networking or our team networking with other agents on like who has this move up buyer that is stuck in this spot right now, and then putting those together.
Well, and we've talked about that buyer a lot, right? Like, what am I gonna buy? How am I'm like unsure, right? Of like, well, if I sell, then what's next? One, you go find them a place, they feel better selling off market, or they have control then, right? Like, hey, I need 3 months or 2 months to find a place. So it gives them that opportunity. And two, I mean, now you're probably finding other listings during that time frame of if it doesn't fit your buyer, you could pick that up as a listing. Like there's like 5 wins in doing that, right? And getting people moving. So it goes back to, are they stagnant in the market? If they are, what can we do to get them active again? What else? What are other people doing on why you would sell off market? If anybody's selling off market. I mean, you've sold some with Zurich's.
In 2 years was just Ben and Alex. And one thing that they do very different, I don't know if it's different, but one thing that they do that motivated my clients to do this, get the house sold market, is that they're paying the price that you would pay in a multiple offer scenario to win. And so that's something where I went to the seller and said, okay, here's an opportunity. You're going to get about 50. It was a $900,000 house. You're going to go about $50,000 over what we anticipated was, a good scenario for you. If you sell it now, that's a guarantee. If I put it on the market because of a unique aspect to this house, we just don't know exactly what you're going to be able to get, but I can tell you this is what you're going to get today if you sell it to these guys. So, and that's a piece of assurance that you can't get 3 weeks later when you put it on the market and roll the dice.
The other piece of that, does that not solve the problem of what we just talked about on why we might be performing at 32%, down by 32%? People don't want to, interest rates, this, that, the other thing. And if you can guarantee them what they believe they're going to get in multiples, and that doesn't affect the buyer, you just took that problem and you solved it and took it away completely. Because now you have them locked in, right? They're locked in, they have a buyer, and everything is okay.
And the other thing too, and which is critically important in this business, and this is part of the networking aspect. I mean, part of why Bethany is successful is the networking with other agents, is that because it's desserts, we can control the transaction significantly better than if it's any of the other freaking yahoos that are out there selling real estate. So, I mean, it makes a big
His word's, not
difference.
mine.
It makes a big difference if you got, you know, a couple thousand agents that we're competing with. Yeah, rate them 1 through 3,000. And then that's who's on the other side of the transaction. It could be the 2,800 best agent in the western suburbs. So when it's desserts, they're on the list every single month for high production.
Well, and I don't even think it's also like maybe best or not best, but when we know, even if you're a new agent and you're like, I have some questions, is it not more comfortable to be in a transaction with Rick and be like, oh, I got some questions on this, but I want to make sure the deal gets done, than if you're dealing with, you know, whoever from whatever other company to kind of help you get through it. So it goes both ways, you know, great agents together, but also having a relationship, be able to talk through some of the issues that pop up in a transaction.
I did one last year off market at the end of the year, and it was only for the sole reason that he didn't want a bunch of people walking through his condo.
Yeah.
So I could find the people and find the agents and walk them through with their clients and kind of explain everything. And he felt way more comfortable with that instead of just having just anybody that has a buyer's agent walk through. So.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So move.
Since
Yeah.
we're talking about relationships with other agents, can I just plug our all, collective group meetings that we have at the end of the month? Is a great opportunity to go talk with other KW agents that are also under Jen and make those relationships. So when you have a buyer need, like, oh, I had a great conversation with so-and-so, I wonder what maybe they have at their office or whatever. If you have that relationship, you can.
Yeah, and it's a great point. In regards to those, just because it's not in this office, I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun going up to Otsego. Granted, it's a lot further away, but like going up there and seeing agents and some perspective that we hadn't seen before up there. I mean, and then we met afterwards and had meetings up there. It's just nice to support each other's offices as well, because having this whole room filled feels really energetic, does it not? Like instead of then, and it feels the same for other market centers as well. If they have a room that might not be full for a team meeting because it's in Minneapolis, right? So it's like, oh, the parking is horrible. It is. Let's carpool there, right? Because it's actually not as bad as you think. It's just if you're not used to it, it feels difficult. But let's support each other's offices and get to know each other. There's some really great resources that we have here and throughout the other market centers, for sure. Which one of you?
You know, when a market is accelerating, I think it accelerates from the inside out, from like Minneapolis to Edina, St. Louis Park, and as it goes out through the suburbs, you'll see that the stuff in Minneapolis is selling in multiple offers before the stuff in Otsego is selling in multiple offers. And conversely, when it's decelerating, you see the market contracting from the outside in. And in that way, pretty early last year, I talked to one of my good friends in Otsego, and she was telling me how many of the properties that they had, they just had listings that were sitting. And that was so different from what we were seeing in our market here, let alone what was going on in Minneapolis. And I think it gives you some insight as to where things are going. So when you have an appointment, maybe it's in a fringe area that you're not super familiar with, but if you have that knowledge, then you understand that maybe the pricing is different in Maple Grove than it is in Minnetonka, or, you know, pick your next spot as you drive away.
Well, and me having my license and living in Minneapolis, I mean, that's where I was prior to here. How many times for me, clients would start in the city, right? They'd start, I'm looking in Minneapolis, and where did they end up? They did end up in Minneapolis. Why? Because they wanted a 3,000 square foot house and they were gonna be paying 1.2 to 2 mil in Minneapolis or Edina for a brand new construction when moving out, maybe 15-minute drive, they now can get one for the 750, 850 that they wanted, right? So I think if we are thinking of it like this is just our market, that's not the case because people, a lot of times as buyers, don't just look in one market, or even if they think they're looking in that one market, it switches. I mean, do we have buyers that switch all the time and like, oh, I wanted Plymouth. Oh, no, I didn't. Now I wanted, I mean, and a lot of times it's because of budget. They can't find what they want in a certain area and they move somewhere else. Bethany.
I just would recommend track the numbers every week as a team. We review, and I have a geeky spreadsheet of all I plug in. It's just how many new, how many coming soon, how many whatever. And what's been really interesting to track is that the numbers don't lie, right? So I pull them every Monday at 8 a.m. for the previous 7 days. So it's a week over week metric. And week over week, we have not had a significant change in inventory, pendings, or closed, but it feels that way. And so I think sometimes when you're tracking the numbers and you're able to use those metrics, it's not that we have a lot more inventory, that it feels like things are moving faster and our numbers are up. It's literally activity based because the market has not changed. And so what we look at is we compare new properties to pendings every week and how many opportunities did other people take advantage of that we didn't.
Like that. Are we? When I say numbers, I always feel like people are like, oh, there she goes again. Are we really tracking our numbers though? Because how do we know where we're at or the market is at if we're not tracking the market's numbers as well as our own? I don't know if the desserts are on or not, but we were talking about their numbers because like prior to some of the things weren't tracked, right? And you know, figuring out market was down 25%. They're like, well, we're outpacing that because we're only down 20%. I said, to the goal, right? So you have to know what you're looking at too. So that's where they're tracking, whatever they're tracking on goal is whatever percentage. But where are you tracking with, again, with the market? So as we're doing this as a market center, this is where we're tracking. If you are like, oh man, I'm killing it this year, awesome. And if you're only tracking with the market, your income is going to ebb and flow with whatever that market's going to do. So who's in control of your business at that point? Not you. Not you. The market, right? That's who's in control of it. The real celebration is when you're outpacing that market, you're doing the things to make sure that your business is recession proof. I mean, anything, right? I mean, even if it goes up and you're still outpacing, that means that your market share is incredible at that point in time. And I remember what class we were in. It was, you know, in this type of market, if you're taking market share, the likelihood of you giving it back in any other market is incredibly low. You losing market share though right now, getting it back is going to be a really hard road.
I think with tracking your numbers and the market's numbers, median sales price. Anyone have a guess on what the difference in median sales price in February and March was in the 7-county region?
Different price.
Yeah, what was the difference? Median sales price in February, median sales price in March. You'd think it went up, right? It felt like it went up. It was literally the exact same price on the nose. Which then it's like that influences your conversations with your sellers because yeah, properties are in multiple offers, but we can't guarantee that for them. Like we still need to be pricing property correctly.
Well, and that conversation right there is, but I'm going to get more in April. I'm going to get more in May. I'm going to get more whatever. You know what? That is a really great point, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Let me just show you the graph of what the actual median sales price is. How do they fight that? It was exactly the same in these 2 months. What are they going to say? No, it wasn't.
Price per square foot was only $1 different.
But you know, like, I mean, you can't, again, when you go back to the numbers, I know we don't like the numbers because we don't like being held accountable sometimes to those numbers. or they're hard to see, right? And at the same time, you can use those on your appointments as well, because they're just as hard to see or argue against when they're as plain and simple as that. Yeah, but I'm gonna get more in May. Are you? You know what? If you are, tell me how do you know that? Right? Like, if you know that for sure, awesome, let me know. So I have some evidence to show other agents or other sellers. Because right now, what it looks like from the past and where we're going is we're staying pretty steady at our price points.
And also to that point, know the specific markets you're looking at. Because we have someone who's looking to sell in St. Paul and wants to buy in Chaska. Those are really different markets. Chaska's prices are accelerating much faster than where they are in St. Just be aware of not going beyond just what is the whole metro region, what is that specific.
Well, and use the emotion for the motivation of why you're even sitting in front of them, right? The emotion part of it is why they invited you to their house. There's something that makes them want to do it. But also that same emotion is what makes them not want to move. But if you can put logic in there a lot of times of like, this is the reason why now or why not now, that's where the numbers come in play. Because now you're not talking, I feel statements with them. The moment you go into that, you lost. How many people have gotten a contract signed at the end because it was like, oh, I feel like that's a good idea too. I'm going to say not a whole lot. Honestly, that's where I always find I lose because I don't have the right clothes, right? Even when I'm recruiting, it's like, oh man, that was a great appointment. We were talking about feelings. It was great. They want to grow their business, but I didn't show them solid numbers of why or how they can do it. Then the close does not happen. And then I'm like, well, what did I do wrong? I didn't show any evidence. Okay, moving on. This is us year over year. So this year, closed units, we had 68. Last year, we had 59. Closed volume, we had 38.3. Last year, we had 29.3. Listings taken, we are pretty neck and neck, 41 and 43. Listings taken volume is 24.8 versus 19.2 last year. Listings sold, 31 over 26. Listings sold volume, again, we're always kind of outpacing with the volume piece of 20 million versus 16.7. Contracts written. So this is interesting to me, right? Because we're down. Like this is where numbers matter, right? We're down compared to where the MLS is, right? But we wrote 21 more contracts this year than we did last year. So if I was to go look at what our profits were and everything else last year, do you remember what our conversations were last year? How many months did it take me to tell you guys that we had anywhere near a profit? A long time, right? We had profit this month. So we profited before the end of the first quarter, even with the cap changes, right? Because that was going to be an 18-month period of time. That's huge. So this is where numbers matter, right? Because it can be bah humbug. And at the same time, we're still outpacing our own production of last year. So you got to know how to interpret them too, because you can, I mean, how many times do we see on like Instagram or Facebook, someone's like, oh, we're the top brokerage and da, da, da. Cool, right? Like anyone can put the numbers, but you need to know how to interpret them and what do they actually mean. So this is great compared to where we were last year. And there's still more to be done because the MLS still has more. We had more than we did last year. I mean, the MLS obviously did. All right, so contracts written volume, 45.8 versus 30.8. Closed GCI, more, more gross commission, obviously in your guys' pocket of 864 versus 791. And kind of where I came to, right? We had nothing. We actually had negative. We just don't put negative on here because the profit is 0, right? But 843 for profit share was huge. Cause what was it, June when we first gave out profit share last year? I think it was June, right? So month 3, we were already giving out profit share. That's a big deal. And I know that number doesn't seem huge to anyone. But it's still an upward and it's a profit. And I think we were actually, besides Minneapolis Lakes, one of the only profitable offices out of the 5 market centers. Did you look at those?
I didn't look at I hadn't had a chance to look.
I mean, I think it was, so we're doing really great things.
And we did have profit share in May of last year.
Okay, so it was,
So, 1 month.
okay. What do you guys see from these numbers? Improvement, right? So I think sometimes we feel heavy when we have the discussion on the last ones and you're like, oh. But we can't feel heavy about the numbers. We have to take them and we have to figure out what has to change or what needs to be implemented, right? Because then we can sit here and we can celebrate some of the successes too. And that doesn't mean we get to sit and like celebrate for the next 3 months. It's like, let's celebrate and what's next, right?
That's a big increase in contract, right?
Huge
Very
increase.
nice to see.
Do you have a big difference in that agent count?
No. Nope, because the top or the 2 capping agents that we brought on were actually, those were in March, I guess, but we haven't collected anything on, I mean, this year from them. That'll be in April and in May. So that's a great question though.
We have one less in March, so. there's
Yeah.
nothing on there, so we got those.
Right now, we have a net agent count of 0 in regards to gross and net for the year. So, through March. A lot of people that were non-producing went out in January, February, which is kind of new. So,
What is the MLS number, like MLS wide, the number of agents that gave back their license or gave up their license, or from December to January, or, like started this year?
I don't know, it'd be a great number to look at. I don't know that off the.
I heard 600.
A lot,
Right?
right?
Nationally, though, I think it was pretty.
Oh, no, I'm talking about like bar.
But from what
But when you say that's not a lot, that's, 200 a month.
I actually still don't think, I think this was more this year than last year. Yeah. I think
I
that,
agree.
I think last winter, people were still like, it's gonna come back, it's gonna come back, and I think we'll see a lot more.
I was teaching the class in Edina on Monday. And the first thing that one of the agents said is like, yeah, but it's a recession, so it's gonna be really hard to build a business. And I have such an opposite thought on that because I built my entire business during the last downturn. And it is the time where the people that want to work and really put in the effort and grind it out, it is so beneficial for your business. Like, again, the market share that I took when I got my license, because that was the only thing that I did was door knock. I knew nobody here. Like, I moved from Wisconsin. So I had my little kid in their stroller and I didn't want to walk around the lake anymore. That market share, I never gave up. Like the whole time that I was selling, right? It was just accumulating more. But I think this is the time where, I don't know, you got to jump on it. You got to take opportunities and you have to be willing to change some of your strategies. If you weren't doing golden letters before, do them now. If you weren't door knocking, maybe add it. If you weren't doing more open houses, add more open houses. Pick whatever it is, but double down on it or add something. If the other thing isn't working. Derek.
I think something else that's kind of interesting with the numbers is the closed GCI to closed volume between the 2 years. This year's number is at like 2.25% average commission versus it's more like 2.7% average commission in 22.
Yep.
So.
Do you know what percentage of those were buy side versus sell side?
We could probably figure that out. We just didn't ever break it down.
Well, listings sold
those 31.
between the two. There's 31 versus 26. We actually did have
So
more. listings.
37, we had
But that means that
Well, no, but I mean, if we were to do listings sold that month was so we had 37 buy side.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If we had 68 total closed units, 31 of them were listings, we had 37.
So pretty, I mean,
We were heavier on buy side, but it was pretty close. 50-50.
But if average commission is 2.25%
Yeah.
this year, I mean, that's, to me, that seems really low. Either means that payouts on buy sides are lower or
that's why.
listings are being taken way lower.
Well, I think it's both. I think listings are getting taken lower and then you're lowering the buy side. Other people are lowering the buy side too, right? I think they go hand in hand.
Can we talk about that? Like, is that something people are feeling? Because we're actually charging more this year than we were.
Yes, we can. I just want to be conscious if you need to leave at noon, it's noon, but I'd love to have that discussion on commission right now because I think people are getting hit hard with that conversation. So, yeah, are people getting charged less, or are they charging less? You're charging more than you were before.
We created a variable rate sheet that helped a lot. So we go in with 6, 6.5, and 7. And we just say, and we'll often pick one in the middle. And we do have some.
They don't want to be cheap, but they also don't want to pay a lot.
And I goofed up because I had a guy who was the next, they had listed with Medina Realty agent last year. And somehow they found us on Google, called, and he goes, so is your rate 7%? And I should have just said yes, but I said, actually 6.5. And then I was like, why did I do that? But,
We're worst enemies sometimes. You're like, oh, well, no.
but I think that helps a lot when you give them free options because people like options. And with some people, like we have 3 listing appointments this week with elderly people that all have townhomes. They don't need the higher level, like marketing stuff we're proposing. Like they're going to be 275 listings. So I'm going to tell them because they're referrals from their children, like, hey, I think you actually only need the 6%.
Let's talk about that. Well, how are we all taught to negotiate? Every person that you, I shouldn't say every, majority of people you go in, what do they say if they haven't sold a house in a while? Well, let's list high, they'll go low and we'll find somewhere in the middle. Is that not how most people are taught to negotiate on like a very basic level? Right? We'll meet in the middle somewhere. So it's that same mentality, right? If you're great at negotiation, that's not usually where you meet, but a lot of times that's what people say. Am I wrong on this? You guys are all looking at me like I got 8 eyes.
You are correct.
Okay, right? So like, it's the same thing, like, here's the high, here's the low. Society should be like, well, let's meet in the middle at 6.5. All of a sudden you're like, well, that was a win. There's not really anything to fight. What are they gonna do? Be like, well, actually, let's go with the 5.5. Well, that's actually not an option. I mean, that's the objection handler too. Well, someone said they were gonna do it for 5.5. That's incredible. And these are our options. This is probably the closest that would be to that. Is that what you want to go with?
I had one person say that. They're like, well, we met with so-and-so and they were gonna do it for 5%. What concerns me? What of this are they not? And that's just done. Like, it was like, there's no way they can do all of this at 5%.
Well, and to that point, did they even show them anything that you just showed them, right? They're like, I'm doing it for 5.5. And they're like, well, they actually didn't even have a listing presentation or a sheet that they were going to do anything for us. So now, again, point proven, you're worth 6.5%.
And we do have it broken down on there that we always do a 2.7% buyer broker payout. Like we are firm believers in that. And I tell them why that's important. Won't reduce our commission. Because we're not going to reduce the buyer broker payout. And so it's broken down where they see that 2.7 is to the buyer's agent, the 3.3 or 3.8 is to us. And that I think also clarifies like, oh, they're not putting the full 6.5 in their pocket. So I think when people actually like, I love numbers. And I think when people understand them, I think a lot of times the reason people don't embrace them is they don't understand them. We just haven't had issues with it. And I'm happy to share that sheet.
I would.
That would be awesome. So here's the other, did anyone watch the conversation off, AKA script off? Jeremy James. And I don't remember where he learned it from. I think what the dollar amount, right? So he broke it down so easy. He brings 6 $1 bills, right? And I'm probably gonna screw this up, so just know that that's gonna be a piece. He's like, so when they do the commission, like, I don't wanna pay that, right? He's like, okay, well, let me just tell you where that goes. And he actually takes these 3, right? Cause he takes the 3 where he can't put 2.7. So he's like, well, these go to the buyer's agent. Right? And then, what does he say?
One goes to the broker.
One goes to the broker. One goes to marketing,
How I feed my.
and this is how I feed my family. If someone said that to me, would you be like, yeah, you're definitely not worth it? No, I mean, honestly, would you? Because this is non-negotiable, right? You've got to pay the buyer's agent. And then the next thing is like, you're gonna pay the buyer's agent these 3. I'm working for you and you want to pay me less than this one. What would you like to pay me so that you're represented?
Also, when I'm reviewing comps, if I notice a property's odd, I'll highlight, the commission payouts. So I do the full property printout.
Yeah.
And I'll highlight, see how they only did a buyer broker payout of 2.5. This one wasn't in multiples. I point that out if there's an opportunity to do that.
Right? Would you want to disincentivize the agent who's representing the buyer for your property by paying them less?
And
When they could take their buyer over and show them this house that's paying 2.7.
Also, conversation on that same panel. One guy was like, well, if they were so willing to give up what we're gonna pay them, how hard are they gonna negotiate for you if they're not even negotiating? So, which I thought was a really powerful
so
statement.
you know what's awesome about that is we're having another conversation conversation showdown. That's what it's called. And I think that's in May, potentially. And Rick's gonna be on it. Graham's gonna be on it again. Jeremy, I believe, is gonna be on it. And there's a few other agents that are gonna be on that. It's gonna go all over all the same thing in a more like, you screwed up. So it's actually gonna be really fun, especially with all of those on it. But so you should show up to that one in May. I don't remember what the date is, but that's it. All right, let's do spin the wheel. And if again, you gotta leave, head out. Otherwise, if your name is up here, start a line so that you can spin for some cash. Oh, and Candy, there's so much money going on today. This is great. Oh, wait, should we wait and see if anybody wants to buy any more tickets with their winnings?
Oh, good one, yeah.
That's called a parlay.
Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna bet.
We're gonna draw a ticket and the person who wins, and the other half is gonna go to.
Come on up.
Feel free to come on up and spin the
I
wheel.
don't know what that's gonna be. It might be something that we want.
All right. How many we got?
It might be an outing that's fun.
Oh, did you draw the ticket?
There you go.
Because if you.
No.
Okay. Great. We got three. All right. Yeah. You had 20? Oh, it's been, oh. 10. I'm feeling good. I feel good. 5.
Oh, my God.
Nice job. Nice. All right, then my computer went. You're like, we're gonna do that. All right, let's go.
I am
Thank you.
wrong. Because he was here the whole meeting. He had to leave. Yes, I told him. You have one.
Okay.
I think we need a new little thing. I will have to tell you that.
Lee, did you put too many tens on there?
I had to actually replace, because it should be spinning in and
All right,
double.
so one of these, it comes to Lydia so she can send those out, in an email. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do this. Fine.
Oh, the ticket, okay.
Please take it. Who won? Who won? Who won? Here, you draw.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't make me do it.
Okay, Colleen, will do it.
If I win.
Well, that'll be weird. Well, that'll be awkward. Okay.
The number is 9870693.
Oh, that's. How much money do we have?
Okay, we have 27.
A weird number. Well, just give her 14 and then we'll do 13. Right? Okay, so we're gonna do 13 up here just so that we know what's in there. And we're just gonna update that every week. Is that fair?
That's very fun.
Fair? All right, awesome. Have a great week, guys. Yeah. Shoot, I can't say guys anymore.
They got
Y'all.